Hello everyone, and I hope you're doing well. We're back from YCS Birmingham, and I thought I'd do a little recap as I did with the WCQ, and I don't know if I did it with the first YCS, but I don't think I was taking it seriously enough to actually do that. So this is just a casual little video to chat and about the experience. As you can probably tell by the thumbnail, it didn't go very well. I actually hated the experience. I hated the YCS. And honestly, I hate big tournaments in general. But we'll get to that later on in the video. Let's start off at day 0. So day 0, I mean, not the most interesting day. We travel up, me and Kit. Well, I say we. I got on a later train than him, so we ended up meeting at the station. Much to Kit's dismay, we got to the hotel at about 3:30, so we had like an hour and a half to kind of mosey around the venue. We were about 7 minutes away in a Premier Inn, so it wasn't too bad. But at the event, there were 3 things I wanted to do. So, first one was to buy a tournament pack for Morphing Jar. Really, really wanted that. I also really wanted the regional 2020 mat, which has the green Appaloosa on and the zones. I think that looks so good. And 3 was to meet a couple of people I wanted to, or was hoping to see, either Zuxid or NPT. Neither of them were there, and which is no fault of theirs. I think it's my fault for hyping myself up. But even worse, there wasn't a single Tournament Pack 2 jar or a single Appaloosa mat. So pretty much all my wants were out the window. There was another want, which was a Ghost Rare Gauze, but they were selling it for double eBay, and I was like, no fucking thank you. The next thing I wanted to do was to sell a bunch of my cards that have been lying around and collecting dust. I've been really bad at selling cards. So I move up to the vendors with my binder in hand and say, I want you to take as much of this as possible, except the first and last couple of pages, because I've got jars on the front and gods in the back. So, hand it over. Of course, they just kind of go through all the cards, go, yeah, that one, that one, that one. They place it on the prices. And I see that they pick out 2 copies of Metaltronus, which is really, really good this meta. It has shot up from about £1 to like £10 because it's like a meta staple now. So he takes out the Metaltronus, both of them, and puts them on the £1 slot on the mat. He's going to give me £1 for a Metaltronus. And at that point, I realised this is a terrible idea. I should just be listing these on eBay. So we got to the end of it, and he took about 10 cards out and said, I can give you £11. I said, no, give me back the Metaltronus, give me back this. So I don't know how much it was total, but I ended up leaving with £11. £11. That is ridiculous. That is about the price of one of the cards I sold him. But I digress. I was hoping to sell more, so I went to another vendor with what was left in my binder. I queue up, wait for around 5-10 minutes, and sit back down, sit in front of a different vendor. Say the same thing. Here's my binder. I'm looking to sell as much of this as possible, except the first and last pages. He opens up the binder. Hold on. He opens up the binder. Just has a little flick through. Stops every now and then. So, no, not that one. I mean, granted, this binder is a lot more empty now because I'm listing it on eBay. And he gets all the way to the end. Doesn't take out a single card. Here's your binder. Actually, he didn't even say anything. It was just silence. It was silence. It was... And I went, wow, that was quick. Run away. Like, oh my god, that was embarrassing. But, in a way, as I have found listing on eBay, most of it was garbage anyway. It was just a realization to me that vendors did not want all this. So, that was unfortunate. I wasn't happy with that. But now I'm listing everything on eBay, so I guess a win's a win. That is a silver lining. But that was pretty much it for day 0. We didn't really do any side events. We didn't even get dinner. Like, it was... Well, I guess we got Subway, but I can't eat Subway. It's not because I am intolerant or anything. I just get to the menu. And there's like 25,000 different combinations and options, and I just can't choose. So I just didn't. Yeah, so that was pretty much it for day 0. We went back to the hotel, went to bed. Me and Kit had an agreement that if one of us didn't wake up, we would wake each other up by first calling them and then knocking on their door. So that's a little precursor to day 1. So day 1, I've even brought a second alarm with me, so I wake up. I wake up at 8:30. We were meant to wake up at 8. The event starts at 9. Luckily, I'd showered and got everything ready beforehand. But I woke up at 8:30 going, oh shit, okay, I need to go. I need to get ready. And so I'm rushing around the room, getting dressed, brushing my teeth, like making sure my decks are all in the right place, blah, 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 blah. And in the meantime, I'm calling Kit, and he's not responding either. And I can't go down to his room to knock on his door because I'm rushing around trying to sort myself out. So eventually, I'm almost ready, about to run down to Kit to knock on his door, and he says, I'm up. I'm like, thank God, because I can't do anything. By the time we make it downstairs, me and Kit, I make it down there a couple minutes before him. It's 10 minutes to 9. And the pairings are up. The pairings are up for round 1, and we haven't even started making our way to the venue. Luckily, as I said earlier, we're about 7 minutes away, so it wasn't too bad, but we did run. We did run across multiple car parks just to get to the first match. Now, here is the game breakdown. I lasted 5 rounds in total, the whole event. Now, let me bring up my deck list so you can understand a bit more context as to how these games go. So this was my deck list that I brought. It is Kashtira Heat Soul with kind of the Mulch armies as well. I'll do a quick overview, I guess. The main goal is literally just to blow up and act like I don't know nobody. No, it's literally just pure Kashtira with the Heat Soul line in there as well. I think it's really, really consistent, and I do think this deck could have gone a lot further if it was played by a more competent player. I mean, our hand trap lineup is pretty standard for Heat Soul. We have 3 Ash, 3 D-Shifter, 2 Ghost Spell, 1 Mourner, and then we have the Perulia and the Fuelos in the main. I thought this would be good because I'm Marcel pilled, and the idea of going second on game 1 and chucking out a Perulia and a D-Shifter is just perfect. And that did happen. And of course, the Kashtira lineup, it literally is just a low to the ground control strategy. There's no big gimmicks here, really. The side deck was the hardest bit. 3 Lancia, 3 Golem, 3 Crossout Designator, 2 Thrust, D-Barrier, Lightning Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster, and Ultimate Slayer as well. I don't know if I mentioned that. So going first, I would side in the Thrusts and the D-Barrier, and sometimes either Harpies or Lightning Storm for Crossout, if I'm that desperate. But that's the deck. Let's not dwell on the deck. Let's get into game 1. Round 1, we won the die roll versus Malice. We handily clean up the first round using Kashtira, just banishing some important pieces from the extra and the field. I think we managed to get Shang set up with Wraithsoft as well, so it was quite a good board. Not very memorable though. And then game 2, I get nibbed at end of main with no follow-up. And game 3, I get drolled. So that is my first loss. Now, losing round 1 is not too surprising. You can go up against pretty much anybody or anything. There's a lot of variance in round 1. I think I probably could have won if I played around droll a bit more. But I honestly haven't practiced much for this event. I think that was one of the problems. I did not get much practice. I was too busy editing and filming, mainly because I find that more fun than playing competitively, but we'll get to that later. So round 2, we go against someone called Softly TCG. Shout out to them. They were super nice. Probably the nicest opponent I played against this entire weekend. Also on Malice, and it was their first YCS. So we had a bit of fun, we had a bit of a laugh, but in the end I did win that one in time. Malice has a hard time in time, in a way. If you have a way into the trap that heals, it's fine, but if you have to do a lot of setup beforehand, you're paying cost all the time. I can see how it happened, and it was like a 4 or 5 turn game, so it wasn't even just like 1 minute left on the clock, okay, you get to go first. So I reckon they would have won that if there wasn't time rules. But that was probably the nicest match of the tournament. I don't even remember the specifics. I remember I Lanciered her twice in game 2, which I both of us read Lancia, because this is the first time I've used Lancia, and I had 2 in hand. I did one, and they got bestialed, and then I read the second one. I kind of assumed it was once per turn, but no, of course it's not. It's an old card. So I just did it again. And I felt really bad, but I couldn't just, like, leave it there. I couldn't just not Lancia because I didn't do it immediately. But otherwise, that was a really, really, really fun game. So we're currently 1-1, and we go into round 3. Now, this is a interesting game. We let's just say we both got a warning. So I played against Cristrons, which is a really interesting deck if I knew what it did. I think every single game in that round 3, he bricked pretty much every game. I don't know if it was the deck list. I don't know if it's just Crystron, if that's just a Crystron thing, but he bricked. And the funniest thing in the first game, I bricked as well. Not only did I brick, I activated Pot of Desires, and it banished all my copies of Kashtira Birth and my Scareclaw Kashtira. So I have full combo, but I can't get to Birth. It is fucking gone. So we're both just sitting there staring at each other going, set 1. And so I'm attacking, he's setting. He goes, set 1, pass, attack, set, or draw, attack, pass. And so for about 5 turns, he sat there going set, and I sat there going draw, attack, and eventually I broke through. I can't remember. I honestly can't remember how. I think it was just a matter of, yeah, let's just go to the next game. Why not? So game 2, he manages to set up a board. I remember on the board there was a Unicorn, and there was an FA Dawn Dragster, and a Cyber Dragon Infinity. And I'm going second in this match, so I've started hitting a bunch of going second cards, like my Thrusts, my Ultimate Slayers, my Lightning Storms, etc. So it passes over to me. My hand, from what I remember, is Fenrir, Unicorn, Thrust, Slayer, Lightning Storm. So I start with Ultimate Slayer on the Infinity, clear that out, which gets rid of one of his interactions. We'll go Lightning Storm for back row. Insane hand, by the way. This is an insane hand. Then there was 2 sets and I think Field Spell, so they were gone. And then there was just the Dawn Dragster and the Unicorn. So, at some point during this turn, my opponent had Lanciered me, which does hurt my deck, not as much as Malice, but it hurts. And we kind of both forgot about this effect at this point, because my opponent declared Unicorn effect after me searching with Fenrir or Unicorn, either one. But I activated an effect and he used Unicorn. So he looked through my extra, banished one, and we continued. I went Thrust for Talents, and then Talents to take the Dragster, overlay it into an Xyz. I think it was Big Eye, so I could steal the Unicorn for myself. At this point, my opponent goes, I think we've messed up quite badly. And that is something you don't want to hear. And I'm thinking, okay, how have we messed up? Did I misplay? Or have we missed something? And he just says, points at the graveyard. I used Lancia this turn. You can't Talents to take because I can't use Unicorn in the main phase. Because the only effect that was activated in the main phase was the Unicorn. And that was an illegal activation. So I can no longer steal with Talents. At this point, I'm thinking in my head, can we reverse this? Can we reverse this, like, on our own without a judge? But I think we both decided to call a judge and get it sorted properly. We don't want to accidentally put something back in the wrong place and give someone else an advantage. So we call a judge. And the judge comes over, and my opponent explains the situation. I've Lanced, I've also Unicorned, and I have done Thrust into Talents to take. The judge pretty much just says, no problem. I can see that there was no significant advantage gained by either player by this action. Like, not, you can tell it probably wasn't malicious. So let's reverse the game state and get it back to how it was. So we put all our cards back, and we both get a 1 minute time extension and a warning. I got my first warning. I got my first PE minor. That's brilliant, isn't it? We get to 1 minute left on the clock, and I have Ogre on the field. Managed to swing in with Ogre into one of the monsters to get the effect. Look at the top 3 cards, and it's Droll, Fenrir, and one of the Crystron cards. So I just banish the Fenrir, and I know he's top decking Droll with no cards in hand. Luckily, I mean, I guess because the judge was there, he didn't play for time or anything. We had about 30 seconds. He just set the Droll, passed it back, I went straight to battle and won. So that was probably the most interesting game, mainly because we got a warning. It was a really nice opponent as well. It was a very nice opponent in round 3. Round 4 is when I start to fucking crumble, man. So I'm against Centurion, and I have played against Centurion a lot at locals. Shout out to Wes, used to play that deck a lot. And I know that you're meant to save the imperm for that level 12 or 8 synchro that searches. I just didn't. At these big events, the knowledge of every deck I've ever played against just leaves my brain. This is one of the reasons I hate these big events. Like, you're just so anxious, at least personally, because I suffer with anxiety and a couple of other things. I just play like shit at these events, and it frustrates me so much. But besides the point, all I remember is that I got pretty much cooked. My opponent did have a really funny combo where he used Duality on one of the level 8 light synchros to go for Dragoon. That was really cool. I really, really liked that. Apparently, you can also use one of the Blue Eyes fusions in the new structure. But that was a cool tech. He was a nice opponent. He was very nice. I think I won one game with D-Shifter pretty much, but that's about it. And at this point, I'm not tilted. Fine, like I played okay in that game. There were some misplays, but they weren't game losing. Game 5, or round 5. That's where it all starts to go wrong. It's where it all went wrong. So, I'm playing as Melodious, and I'm not the most experienced against Melodious. And my opponent is very, how do I say it? A stickler for the rules. Like, for example, and I guess this is my fault technically as well, it just really feels bad to be on the other end of it, is there's the spell Concerto or something, like special 2 from deck. I had a Fua in hand that I was saving, so they activated it. I said, okay, going to say something else, like, okay, thinking, or okay, I might respond to that. And I go, okay, I will. And my opponent goes, you said okay, I'm allowed to do it. And at that point, I was just like, fuck it, I'm not arguing this. If you're going to be sharky like that, go for it. Like, I really don't like it when people do that. But I suppose in a way, I shouldn't have said okay. But I'm just acknowledging that you've activated a card. I'm not saying, yeah, that's fine. Like, I have a very peculiar way, not peculiar, a specific way of saying, yeah, that's fine. I say, yeah, that's fine. I know, it's crazy, right? I just say, yeah, that's fine. Not okay. Like, I get it. I'm not blaming my opponent, but man, that was frustrating. It's just like, yes, I'm acknowledging you're playing a card, I want to think. But instead of that, immediately after I said, okay, like, okay, the cards were already on the field. It's like, for fuck's sake. I mean, that was frustrating, but it wasn't as frustrating as me outplaying myself. So, game 1 it was. I have Shifter, which is brilliant, and they managed to set up some sort of suboptimal board. I think in my head, okay, I need to Zeus to clear this so it all gets banished. And so I get into an Xyz, a battle overlay for Zeus with 3 materials. And at this point, I have a Castira Unicorn and Fenrir banished. And I have a Preparations in hand, which lets you special summon from banished, if you don't know. And for some fucking stupid reason, I set the preparation and then Zeus. I set the preparation, and then as soon as I do, I go, fuck. Why did I do that? So I threw away my chance of winning. I mean, luckily, we both bricked for like 4 turns, so I wasn't punished and I still won. But fucking hell, just doing that immediately just like set me off wrong. Not to mention that like okay thing happened previously in that one game. In game 1, that was like my first impression. So game 2, I don't think there was any massive misplay. This is where I've sided in crossouts and thrusts for going first. So 3 crossouts, 2 thrust, and a D barrier. Go first setup, I drew 2 crossouts. So I cross out one of the imperms that is magnetized to my unicorn, and then I set the other cross out at the end of the turn. Now, at some point during my opponent's turn, they activate Thrust, which is the only card I've seen them have in common with me in this deck that I could cross out. Okay. I just let them do it. I just let them do it. They grab El Sonata, they go full combo, they win. And at that point, that was it. I'd had enough of playing like shit. Because if I was playing at home or at locals, I might have made that misplay. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying 100% of the time away from the YCS I wouldn't have made that misplay. But let's just say it certainly felt like the anxiety was getting to me. Every single moment of this YCS, I felt anxious. And in fact, it's not just this YCS, it's every single big tournament I've been to, the World Championship, the Yugioh Championship Series previous as well. I attributed the nervousness to not knowing how things are run, because someone kind of autistic like me, I like to know how things go. I like to know the plan. I like to know where you're meant to be, when you're meant to be there. Because my worst feelings are feeling out of place and feeling like I don't belong. So those are the 2 things that caused me the biggest anxiety. And what did I feel after rounds 3, 4 and 5? It really just piled on me, man. Why am I at this YCS? I'm not a competitive player. Yes, I could probably win a few rounds if I really tried, but this anxiety was killing me. And after round 5, after making 2 like game-losing misplays, I left. I said, I'm going to go back to the hotel room for a bit. I'm dropping anyway because I'm now X3. Not much chance of me getting through. So there is ultimate time with it later on as well. So I went back to the hotel just to chill out. I was really fucking angry with myself. I still am. I still am really angry. I just don't think I can do these events again. I know this is just tilt, but I just didn't want to play anymore. I didn't want to play any more Yu-Gi-Oh! That day. I had Ultimate Time Wizard in about half an hour, and I had to decide, do I want to go back for it? As you can probably tell by my tone of voice and my face, I did not. I even brought a meta deck with me. I didn't bring Gigavise, I brought Vayu Turbo. And I didn't go. And people are going to think that's stupid. And I do as well. I don't think it was stupid. I think it was the right decision. But I think from an outside perspective, traveling all that way and not playing in most of the tournaments, at least the Ultimate Time was, because I was looking forward to it, but at that point, I felt like every single play I made, I was going to question and loop the misplays over in my head. I was in such a bad way. I actually just wanted to fucking leave. I wanted to go home, but I, tried to stick out in case I woke up tomorrow and felt better. People probably wondered where I was. I literally just went to the hotel room, and do you know what I did for the rest of the afternoon after I dropped after round 5? I started listing cards on eBay. I decided, fuck it. I'm not competitive enough to have all these high rarity modern cards. I don't need them. I can just use commons if I'm just going to locals. Who gives a shit? I mean, the only thing I'm not selling is Edison, because I actually still like Edison. yeah, so that was literally pretty much the end of my YCS. I tilted so hard that I'm disillusioned with the game now. I'm actually taking a break from locals as well. Don't worry, I'm not taking a break from YouTube. This is the one thing I'm going to be focusing on more. So if anything, you're probably going to see more content, or at least higher quality content here. So don't you worry about that. But let's just say there probably won't be as many TCG deck lists as previous. It will be mostly Master Duel now, I think. Or Edison or Dueling Book. Those are going to be my two focuses for at least a little while, I think, until a new ban list comes out or a new meta shapes. And I can put some money aside each month and just wait for a meta deck that I like the look of and just buy that and then come back in the game and actually, I don't know, have some fun. But day 2 of Sunday, we have until 12 to check out in the hotel. Kit decides he's going to go play some side events, starting from 9. And I said, nah, I'm going to stay at the hotel. Bear in mind, I did also stay up till about 4 AM listing cards on eBay. But I did just decide, no, I'm still not in the mood to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Today. I'm going to chill out and just wait for our train to go home. Yeah, pretty much just sat in a Starbucks after 12, listed a bunch of cards on the Facebook trade group to see if anyone would buy them at the YCS. Unfortunately, no one did, but people have bought them on eBay now. I even have the 2 copies of Fualos that I bought for 70 and 77 per. I've now sold them for 50 each. The price dropped immediately after the YCS. I saw vendors selling these from 80 before the event to 55 after the event. So honestly, I'm glad I got some of my money back before the reprint. But overall, how did I find the YCS? Well, if anyone else was asking me, like just in public, I would say I don't want to talk about it, and I'll let them go from there. But because we're here, I will say my honest opinion. I just have to accept personally that I cannot handle these big events. And I think that was the big tilter for me after round 5. I sort of realized, what am I doing here? Like, am I actually having fun? It sucked. I don't think I'll be doing this again. If I do a big tournament again, I will be going purely for profit. I will not be going for the main event, or maybe I'll do Ultimate Time Wizard depending on how many points it gives you. I will be doing pods, and I will be claiming as many OTS packs as possible and selling them on eBay. That is literally it. I need a goal that isn't just winning, it is just to grind. So if I ever do go back to a YCS, that'll be what I do. But for now, I'm taking a break from the TCG, selling a bunch of stuff, and then we'll go from there. So as you can tell, the YCS went fucking amazing if I'm selling most of my stuff. But as I say, do not worry. I am not quitting Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm taking a break from the TCG, which doesn't mean I'm stopping making Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. In fact, I'm looking forward more than ever to put in more effort into my content and get more content out there for you guys, because we are so close to monetizing. We just need a little bit more watch hours now, and I'm honestly, I mean, it'll be cool. But I will say, I'm not going to make money from this. If I make money, it's going back into the channel. So, the quicker we get monetized, the quicker my production value goes up. At least slightly. I have a feeling I'm not going to be raking in thousands. But I might be able to get some more lighting. Maybe even some pay for the boxes, maybe. Anyway, that being said, that is how my YCS went. And let me know in the comments if you went to YCS Birmingham. First of all, why didn't I see you there? No, I'm kidding. But let me know how you found it. How did you do in the rounds? How did you do in the main event? Did you play the main event? And if so, let me know. I would like to hear that hopefully some people had a bit of a better time than me. Anyway, that being said, if you made it this far in the video, please do feel free to hit subscribe. New Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos each week. And as always, happy dueling.